Hello guys, welcome to this new class. This time we are going to learn about present tenses. Let's go. The first tense that we are going to study is present simple. We use the present simple to express habits, facts, thoughts, and feelings. It is also used with general statements and actions that are repeated. It is formed with the base form of the verb, except the third person of the singular, where you have to add an s, es, or ies, depending on the case. Now, let's look at the structure of the affirmative form of the present simple tense. First, we have the subject. Remember that for subject, we can use the personal pronouns, we can use names, or we can use nouns. The next thing that we are going to use is the verb in infinitive form, okay? Plus the complement of the sentence. For example, she studies for the exam. Now, some variants for verbs when the subject is the third person of the singular. What it means that the subject is he, she, or it. What do we have to do when the subject is the third person of the singular? We have to add the letter s to the verb, as in the following examples. With the verb run, she runs so fast. We are adding an s at the end of the verb run. Why? Because the subject is the personal pronoun she. Now, with the verb admire, he admires you because of your discipline. We can see that we are adding the letter s to the infinitive form of the verb that is admire. Why? Because the subject is he, and he makes part of the third person of the singular. Some variants for verbs ending with y and preceded by a consonant. We replace the y for ies in the verb. For example, with the verb try. She tries to run fast. As we can see, we replaced the letter y for ies. And the reason is that the subject is the personal pronoun she. Now with the verb cry. He cries because of you. As we can see, we changed the letter y for the ending ies. And the reason is that the subject is the personal pronoun he, that makes part of the third person of the singular. Now, some variants for verbs ending with sh, ch, double s, x, or z. We add es at the end of the verb. For example, with the verb pass. Anthony passes by here every morning. we add the ending es to the verb pass because the subject is Anthony. Now with the verb fix. Angie fixes sinks all the time. As we can see, the name Angie is the personal pronoun she. That's the reason why we have to add es at the end of the verb fix that ends with the letter X. Now we are going to learn how to form the negative form of the present simple, or what is the structure of the negative form. The first thing that we have in the structure is the subject, plus don't or doesn't, plus the verb always in infinitive, plus the complement. How do we know if we have to use don't or doesn't? Doesn't is used with the third person of the singular, with he, she, or it. And don't is used with I, you, we, or they. Okay? That's the rule. Doesn't is used with he, she, or it, with the third person of the singular. And we have this example. She doesn't cook on Sundays. As we can see, if we use this auxiliary verb that is doesn't, because the subject is she, we use the verb in the infinitive form. The verb never changes. Now, for the interrogative form. In this case, we use at the beginning the auxiliary verbs do or does. And how do we know when we should use do or does? We use does with the personal pronouns he, she, or it, with the third person of the singular. And we use the auxiliary verb do with I, you, we, or they. So the structure is do or does plus subject plus the verb in infinitive form plus complement plus question mark. This is one of the most important things here, because that's what says that this sentence is a question. Never forget about this. So the example is, does she teach mathematics? Why are we using does? Because the subject is she. That makes part of the third person of the singular. And look at the verb. The verb teach is in the infinitive form. That means that it's not modified. And at the end, the question mark. Does she teach mathematics? Now we are going to learn about the present continuous. The present continuous is used to describe an action that is going on at this moment in the present, but in this moment. For example, you are using the internet in this moment, right now, or you are studying English grammar. Present continuous is used to describe an action that is going on during this period or a trend. For example, are you still working for the same company? Like during this period, like this year? Or more and more people are becoming vegetarian. We're talking about a trend. The present continuous is also used to describe an action or event in the future which has already been planned or prepared. For example, we're going on holiday tomorrow. I'm meeting my boyfriend tonight. Are they visiting you next winter? All of these sentences are talking about things that are being planned or prepared for the future. The present continuous is also used to describe a temporary event or situation. For example, he usually plays the drums, but he's playing bass guitar tonight because that position of playing the bass guitar is temporary, it's just for tonight, okay? Or the weather forecast was good, but it's raining at the moment. What is temporary is that it's raining at the moment. The present continuous is also used with always, forever, or constantly to describe and emphasize a continuing series of repeated actions. For example, Harry and Sally are always arguing. That means that in repeated occasions, Harry and Sally have been arguing. Or for example, you're constantly complaining about your mother-in-law. That means that is an action, is a frequent action. Is something or is an action that is repeated constantly. Now we are going to learn about the structure of the present continuous. For the affirmative form, we have the subject plus the verb to be plus the main verb with the ending ing. This is very important. Plus the complement. So we have the next sentence as an example. I am washing the motorcycle. Okay? We can look at the subject, I, the verb to be, am, the verb wash with the ending ing. That becomes washing the motorcycle. Some variants for verbs ending with e. We have to replace the e for ing in the verb. For example, with the verb take. I am taking the bus to school. Or with the verb make. He is making dinner. For verbs with one syllable ending in a consonant and preceded by a vowel, we have to double the consonant and we have to add the ending ing. For example, with the verb sit. I am sitting outside. As we can see, we doubled the last consonant, that is the letter T, and we add the ending ing. You are running fast. It is getting late. We are letting ourselves go. They are swimming in the river. for the negative form of the present continuous, the structure is the following. We have the subject plus the verb to be plus not plus the verb with the ending ing plus the complement. For example, I am not washing the motorcycle. Now, for the interrogative form, we can see that the first part of the structure is the verb to be. Then we can find the subject plus the verb with the ending ing plus complement and the question mark. For example, are you running late? As we can see, we switch the places of the subject and the verb to be. We put in first place the verb to be, and then we have to write the subject. This is just for the interrogative form. Now we are going to talk about the present perfect. The present perfect tense is used to describe an action or situation that started in the past and continues in the present. For example, I have lived in Bristol since 1984, and I still do. That means that I'm still living in Bristol. The present perfect tense is used to describe an action performed during a period that has not yet finished. For example, she has been to the cinema twice this week, and the week isn't over yet. If the week is not over, we can speak using the present perfect. This tense is used to describe a repeated action in an unspecified period between the past and now. We have visited Portugal several times. We are saying that we have visited Portugal in repeated occasions. It's an action that has been repeated in the past. We also use this tense to describe an action that was completed in the very recent past, expressed by just. For example, I have just finished my work. This tense is used to describe an action when the time is not important. He has read War and Peace. The result of his reading is important, not the moment when he read the book. Now let's look at the structure of the present perfect tense in affirmative form. The first part that we are going to write or use is the subject. Then we're going to use the auxiliary verb to have plus the past participle form of the verb plus the complement. As example, we have I have eaten chicken wings for the last 3 days. As we can see, we're using the verb to have as the auxiliary verb, and the verb eaten that is the past participle form of the verb eat. For the negative form of the present perfect, the structure is the following. We have the subject, the auxiliary verb to have, plus not, plus past participle form of the verb, plus complement. As an example, we have I haven't visited Colombia since I was 14. Now, for the interrogative form, we have switched the position of the auxiliary verb have and the subject. We have first the auxiliary verb to have plus the subject plus the past participle form of the verb plus the complement, and finally we have the question mark. As an example, we have you tried toast with Nutella? Okay guys, thank you very much for your attention. We have finished. If you liked the video, leave your thumbs up and see you around for a next class. Bye bye.